We're back in April. I'm Adam.
Whoa, Chestnut. Chestnut's my horse. Hi, I'm Allie.
And we are continuing this expedition to uncharted territory. Wikipedia!
And this is Finding Monster Right, the show about finding monsters, right?
Right!
I'm Allie. My horse is named
Adam.
Chestnut.
I can't say right without having to introduce myself. It's a big problem in my life.
Yeah, it's important. Like, Alex is just driving and you're like giving her directions. You're like, all right, so you're going to want to turn right. I'm Adam on this exit. Like,
yeah. We have strung together an episode this week after some deliberation. April continues to be a crazy time for us.
It's truly more fun than a barrel of monkeys, and we're going a little bananas. And this week we've brought you a haiku.
Yes. Would you like to read it for us?
Yes. Calling your Bluff Creek, we're busting the biggest name in Bigfoot footage. Nailed it.
Yes. We're talking about the biggest Bigfoot footage, the Patterson-Gimlin film.
Yes, yeah, because I found out this was going to be an episode during the mysterious time that no one's quite sure about when you were missing on your honeymoon. And this is inside baseball. Point is, I found out that the Patterson-Gimlin film Wikipedia page is just a cavalcade of cartoon comedy in the McFarlanean sense.
Yeah, so we're going to go full crime. A full true crime on this, not full crime. No, go to full crime. Full true crime podcasts. We're
gonna be gay do crime on the Patterson-Gimlin film Wikipedia page.
Yeah, kind of. And solve this. Let's get down to brass tacks. Let's bust this once and for all. Who did this monkey footage?
Yeah.
So long story short, Bluff Creek. These couple cowboys set up their big expensive camera. And they caught this Bigfoot woman strolling down past the rocks, looking back, titties flopping. And it's been the talk of the town for over 50 years, 70 years, or however long it's been.
The footage was shot in 1967.
Yeah, so 60 years minus 3.
Yeah. It's a month after my mom was born.
57 years.
There you go. Adam knows how old my mom does. I don't.
Of these titties flopping in the rocky forest.
So, the Patterson-Gimlin film.
Mm-hmm.
First off, Roger Patterson redirects here. For the bassist, see Roger Patterson, bassist.
Right. Let's. We have to get to the meat of the article, the important section here. But if you're not familiar with the footage, it's literally on this Wikipedia page for Patterson-Gimlin. We'll put it in the description. But if you've seen footage of a Bigfoot walking through rocks and looking back, you've seen this footage.
Yeah, it's that famous footage. Like, this is very well known in cryptid circles. But
yeah, in the movie Elf, when Buddy the Elf is being spotted in Central Park, like he's parodying this. Like, it's very common.
Yeah. So I basically found out that the article on Wikipedia is insane, and I wanted to go through it, beat by beat, and really break down like who did this monkey crime.
Okay.
So, the footage was filmed alongside Bluff Creek, a tributary of the Klamath River. Klamath, a tributary.
It's only written once.
Of the Klamath River along a 25 luging road miles, 40 kilometers southwest of Orleans, California, in Del Norte County. Blah, 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 stuff. The filmmakers were Roger Patterson, 1933 through 1972, not to be confused with the bassist, and Robert Bob Gimlin, born 1931, still alive. Interesting that you have two names, Robert. Or should I say, Bob?
Patterson died of cancer in 1972, so like 5 years after this. Meanwhile, for 52 years, Gimlin's been the sole teller of the tale, and Patterson, for those 5 years, decreed this creature was real.
And Gimlin denied being involved in any hoax with Patterson, although Patterson only had to keep it up for 5 years, and Gimlin's had to. Can you imagine pulling this Monkey Man hoax with your friend, and then he dies 5 years later, and then you don't say anything until 2005, but this is what you have to talk about until you die.
Yeah, that's tough. You always see that with famous, I guess, creators and stuff like that. I think of was it Brian DiMartino and Michael Kinitsko or whatever that did the Avatar, The Last Airbender. They all right, we did Avatar, we did Korra, that's it, we're gonna do our own projects, and they try for 10 years, nothing happens, and they're just like, okay, Nickelodeon, how much do you want to pay us in numbers of projects for us to work for you again? We're fine just making Avatar from here on out. That seems to be the deal here, where he's like, listen, I'm gonna make my big film pictures. And then after 40 years of asking, he's like, all right, fine, I'll tell you about the monkey we saw.
I mean, he did begin giving interviews and appearing at Bigfoot conferences, and that's where the money is with all of these weirdos. Oh yeah. 40 and stuff. The UFO conference circuit is a huge racket.
Mm-hmm.
So the film is 23.85 feet long, preceded by 76.15 feet of horseback footage. The event lasted 53 seconds, and the date was October 20th, 1967, just before Halloween. Just horseback footage. So watching the unedited film, which is right down here in the corner, it's just a lot of footage of horses, and then there's
just casually a big old ape that walks by.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the footage right now to see where the ape comes in. Probably by the end, right?
Probably. Yeah. Afterwards, there's not really a lot going on.
Yeah, right. I mean, a horse is nothing after the events that take place. 2:15 is when things get wonky for this ape buddy.
Yeah. So Patterson said he became interested in Bigfoot after reading the article about the creature by Ivan T. Sanderson in the magazine True in December 1959, which is a wild name for a magazine about Bigfoot. It's in True, it's in Fake Science Monthly.
That's literally it.
So,
and hang on. Patterson's book, Do Abominable Snowmen of America Really Exist, was self-published in 1966.
Yes, 1 year earlier. The book is being characterized as little more than a collection of newspaper clippings laced together with Patterson's circus poster style prose, which is what we're doing in this episode, yes?
Yeah. Although I hope that one day a critic can say something I wrote was circus poster style prose. What a glowing review. Come see the man wonder, Adam, in his worlds of craft.
The man wonder. Children and the elderly and those with heart conditions may not see the atom.
So, hang on. Let's talk about the in May/June 1967. This kind of picks up where this footage took place.
Mm-hmm.
Patterson began filming a docudrama about cowboys being led by an old miner and a wise Indian tracker on a hunt for Bigfoot.
The storyline called for Patterson, his Indian guide, Gimlin in a wig, rough. So rough.
Ooh.
I'm not about it.
We were so close to having a squeaky clean April.
Were we? Were we though? Is it really a Finding Monster Right episode if you don't bring up something insanely racist that happened for no reason?
It has to happen about once every 4 episodes.
Yeah. Every 4 episodes, it'll be like, oh, the person who talked about this monster, turns out that they thought black people were from the moon, and that's why they're so tall. And it's like, black people aren't taller than white people. They're the same height. I think. I would have to look it up, but I don't imagine that's wrong. So, the Cowboys, recall on flashback the stories of Fred Beck of the 1924 Ape Canyon incident. Are you familiar with that?
No, I'm not.
Oh my god, hey, it's the 100th anniversary of Ape Canyon. Let's go.
Hey, happy Ape Canyon April, everybody.
We did
Let's
it.
go to the edge of the plains of Abraham.
There ain't no reason you and me should be alone tonight. Yeah, baby. We're on the edge of April.
The most hopping Mount St. Helens has been in 20 years.
So, Ape Canyon is named after a legend about a 1924 encounter with ape men, which was later incorporated into Bigfoot folklore.
So it's weird that they're doing a lot of this. Again, I like what you've driven us this Wikipedia article, because it's like, yeah, I didn't realize that these were that this was defining Bigfoot of their age.
Right? Yeah, no, it is. Like, this guy already, like, you go into the forest trying to make a movie about Bigfoot, and lo and behold, you find Bigfoot. Like, yeah. Do you not understand how that's suspicious?
There's some real pessimistic patties in the Wikipedia editors here, because they say stuff like, Patterson would have needed a costume to represent Bigfoot if the time came to shoot such a climactic scenes. Yeah, like, basically calling out, like, he would have a costume. If they were filming a Bigfoot thing, he would have a Bigfoot costume when they went on this trip. Okay, what happened next?
For actors and cameramen, Patterson used at least 9 volunteer acquaintances, including Gimlin and Bob Hieronymus, which is a Muppet name. Like, I'm Bob Hieronymus.
1, 2, 3 Hieronymi.
Wow. I don't know.
The Hieronymus clan, we look at the stars.
I am Bob Hieronymus.
Alright, let's stick to the comment on the page.
Yeah. So, Patterson drove to Hollywood in 1964 and visited rockabilly songwriter and guitarist Jerry Lee Merritt, a Yakima native who was living in Hollywood then, where Patterson drove in 1964 and visited rockabilly songwriter and guitarist Jerry Lee Merritt, a Yakima native who was living in Hollywood then, where Patterson drove in 1964 to visit rockabilly songwriter and guitarist Jerry Lee Merritt, a Yakima native. Sorry.
Allie, you're looping there.
In 1966, he visited Merritt again while he was still trying to sell his hoop toy invention.
The hoop toy, I think it's just like the hoop on a stick.
They got anything like this in Yakima?
It's a hoop that comes back to you. It's like, whoa.
This guy's like, I know how I'll get rich. I'll sell a hoop on a stick. Oh, that didn't work? I'll try and convince people that I met Bigfoot.
Well, this is funny because later in 1966, he and Merritt drove down to Yakima for several reasons. He visited the cowboy film star Roy Rogers for help.
Roy Rogers, the king of cowboys, you gotta help me.
Yeah, it's like knocking on fucking Clint Eastwood's door. And it's like, please, sir, tell us how to be a cowboy.
I want to be a cowboy like you.
And I like this too. He tried to sell his ponies and wagons to Disneyland on Knott's Berry Farm. It's like they're painting a picture of all these failed schemes.
They really are. This is a man of many schemes. This is like
they're treating Patterson-Gimlin like some kind of Ed and Eddie here.
He really is. If Jawbreakers come up at any point. Okay, so in the summer of 1967, apparently after getting $700 from the Radfords and shooting some of his documentary, they tried unsuccessfully to attract investors to help further fund his Bigfoot movie. They copyrighted or trademarked the term Bigfoot. That's interesting.
Oh shit, every time, are we saying Bigfoot? Is Gimlin getting a little something something? Or the Patterson estate? I mean, not on our program. I don't know where they get the monies from.
Yeah.
But this is a true crime podcast, so today's episode is brought to you by Audible. Audible, the podcast foundation.
Audible, which is not actually paying us, so I will point out that there is a non-zero chance that Audible was founded as a corporation using seed money, dirty seed money, a seed planted in soil in the dirt of Nazi gold.
Audible doesn't hope you enjoy this revelation.
Audible wants you to not think that they were started by Nazi gold. Maybe because they weren't, or maybe they just don't want you to know. Audible.
Okay, so
pay us money and we'll clarify.
Patterson-Gimlin went to Six Rivers National Forest in North California. They went to North Carolina first, but they were way off course.
Why isn't Northern California its own state?
I don't know. It's because of voting, I guess.
You can really see, like, in the map of the United States, how much better we got at states over time. You know? Like, we're gonna make 2 states that are just big squares. Bada bing, bada fucking boom. Let's go, America.
Alright, so they were nearby the Blue Creek Mountain Track. A Bigfoot hunter, Renee DeHinden.
I am Renee DeHinden. Once again, Robert Pattinson. There is nothing you can have that I cannot take away.
Yeah, he's trying. I'm sorry. An archaeologist, Don Abbott.
Oh my god, there's actually an Perhaps you could warn them, Don Abbott, if you spoke Bigfoot.
Yeah, so...
Oh man, a fly just went into my mouth.
14 years before Raiders of the Lost Ark, these guys are out doing this.
Yeah, wait, this is... And also John Green was there.
John Green? I know John Green.
Most recent of these reports was the nearby Blue Mountain track find, which was investigated by journalist John Green, author of The Fault in Our Stars and Looking for Alaska and other things.
Bigfoot too.
Yeah, and Bigfoot.
Yeah, he went to Alaska to find Bigfoots.
We don't know that that's wrong. So,
all right, so we should talk about the encounter, because this is a whole nother article, a whole nother paragraph here.
Though Gimlin said he doubted the existence of Sasquatch-like creatures, he agreed to Patterson's insistence that they should not attempt to shoot one. This is a sticking point. If you see a Bigfoot, you should shoot it. What if it's a person in a suit? Shouldn't it dress like Bigfoot?
Well, hang on. Bigfoot is not an endangered species. You don't need you know how you need it's rabbit season, it's duck season. Well, it's always Bigfoot season, because there's no rules about hunting them.
I believe Robert W. Morgan himself actually advocated for some Bigfoot protections.
He was very big on the Bigfoot protection. Robert's warning signs, Morgan. Was
there anything in the field guide about the Patterson-Gimlin film? There must have been.
I don't think so. I think he sticks strictly to his own findings. If you want to hear more about that, listen to our Bigfoot Observers Field Manual that we did in episode 10 and 11. They're great episodes. I mean,
in my mind, Robert W. Morgan is inextricably tied to Bigfoot now.
Yeah, I think he and Bigfoot are one and the same. like a daredevil Matthew Murdock.
Whoa. Interesting. Okay. That's very interesting about what happens later in this story. So
yeah, I was about to say. Let's talk about the people that may have actually been a Bigfoot.
Yeah, which I think, this is, the Patterson and Gimlin are the same generation of Bigfoot hunter as Robert W. Morgan, certainly.
Yeah.
So, at some time between 1:15 and 1:40 post-meridian on Friday, October 20th, 1967. You gotta get the times very specific with true crime. Adam, that's how they know it's real. They came to an overturned tree with a large root system at a turn in the creek, almost as high as a room.
That does not help me understand how tall that is.
When they rounded it, there was a log jam, a crow's nest, left over from the flood of 64, and they then spotted the figure behind it nearly simultaneously.
There's a lot of lore to this setting.
It was either crouching beside the creek to their left or standing there on the opposite bank. And it said, "Play the best song in the world, or I'll eat your souls."
Gimlin later described himself as a mild state of shock after seeing this figure. Patterson initially estimated its height at 6 foot 6 inches.
1.98 meters.
to 7 feet.
2.1 meters.
And later raised his estimates to about 7 foot 6 inches.
2.29 meters.
Nowadays, when Gimlin talks about the creature, he's 247 feet tall.
That's not in the article, but honestly, that is how it goes, isn't it?
Yeah. Some later analysts, anthropologist Grover Krantz among them, has suggested that Patterson's later estimate was about 1 foot too tall. So,
0.3 meters.
Yeah, and Gimlin's estimate was 6 feet.
1.8 meters. I don't know. How good can you possibly be at telling the height of something that's just, like, standing over there, like, to the foot?
I'm pretty bad at it. Honestly, my scale's mostly like an Amazing Spider-Man scale.
Mm.
Is it taller than me? Then it's probably over 6 feet. Is it shorter than me? It's probably under 6 feet.
Those are the only two heights you need. Also, do you want to explain what you mean by Amazing Spider-Man scale?
Once upon a time, you had a scale of movies, and it was a 3-point scale. Either the movie was greater than, equal to, or worse than The Amazing Spider-Man, which you describe as a 5 out of 10, like most regular film you've ever seen.
That was shortly before I realized I was bisexual and really, really liked Andrew Garfield, though. So since then, that movie has gone into being 2 Amazing Spider-Mans, and thus the entire system is broken and I had to throw it out.
Which is funny because the second time you watched it, The Amazing Spider-Man was less. It was 0 Amazing Spider-Man with inflation.
You know, movies shouldn't be rated.
That's usually where the scale ends up being.
Yeah. So the film shows what... Let's just read it at the same time. As cousins and friends. So 1, 2, 3. The film shows what Patterson and Gimlin claimed was a large hairy, bipedal, ape-like figure with short, silvery brown or dark reddish brown
this is bad podcasting.
Or black hair covering most of its body, including its prominent breasts.
Yeah, once again, very funny that they're like, all right, he's silver brown, or dark reddish brown, or black. Like,
these are so many different. Yeah.
I want to put that on my my driver's license for my hair color.
Mm. The figure in the film generally matches the description of Bigfoot offered by others who have claimed to have seen one. Just like picture like an old, like a diner in like a mountain town, and like crazy old man Stevens just comes down. I've seen it. I've seen the Sasquatch and its big naturals. I've seen the big supernaturals. How did we on Finding Monster Right take this long to get to big supernaturals?
I don't know. Ape titties should have come up way before episode 156.
Whoa, ape titties, bam a lamb.
Whoa, ape titties.
Bam a lamb, ape titties at a child, bam.
Alright, and now we have more Patterson numbers. He estimated that he was 25 feet away from the creature. His horse reared up upon seeing the figure.
Which is not in the... it's not in the footage. Like, we know that it didn't. We know that you just think you're the Lone Ranger.
Yeah, that's why he yelled, "Cover me!" to Gimlin, meaning to get his gun out.
Gimlin crossed the creek on horseback after Patterson had run well beyond it, riding on a path somewhere to the left. Like, shouting, "Cover me," meaning to get the gun out. Like...
I'm going in.
I gotta see this. I gotta see these titties close up. So Patterson, who is bad at estimating things, estimates he came within 60 to 90 feet of Patty. That's a terrible... Okay, I was joking about being bad at estimating things, but 60 to 90 feet, or 18 to 27 meters, is nothing, right?
Yeah, they only have 5 years of this guy's accounts, so you know how it goes. So the figure walked away from them to a distance of about 120 feet. Yeah, they did not... rifle was in hand, but never pointed it at the creature.
Mm-hmm.
They were initially shaky. Patterson got up about 80 feet from the figure. At that point, the figure glanced over its right shoulder at the men, and Patterson fell to his knees. On Kranz's map, this corresponds to frame 264. To researcher John Green, Patterson would later characterize the creature's expression as one of, quote, contempt and disgust. You know how it is when the umpire tells you one more word and you're out of the game? That's the way it felt.
I'm very familiar with that. Yeah. I know a thing or two about bowling.
I like that the ape literally looked at him and said, "Tell no one."
Tell no one of the titties you have seen.
It's funny. This very short footage is analyzed frame by frame, so they're literally telling what frames these are happening at.
Yeah, they're really getting, like, into the weeds here. So, Gimlin remounted and followed it on horseback, keeping his distance until it disappeared around a bend in the road, 300 yards, 1 football field, away. Patterson called him back at that point, feeling vulnerable on foot without a rifle because he feared the creature's mate might approach. Let's talk about that. Okay, 7'6" Bigfoot. And you think because it has titties, you could take it in a fight? Like, what's with you and your brain? And how stupid are you?
That's the guy scale of like how big of an animal I can fight. Well, if it's a lady animal, I think I can go next weight class up.
Oh, Colonel Colonialism's southern cousin, Mayor Misogyny.
Oh yes, Mayor Misogyny. Boy, oh boy, them women are weak.
You're not as fun as Hugh.
Oh.
Wow. Mayor Misogyny does not want to talk to me. Maybe that's why he hasn't been on the show before.
I interpret that sound as him like being sucked back into like a genie lamp.
A bayou genie. Mayor Misogyny is a bayou genie.
We'll explore that at the other end of this footage. So Patterson got his second roll of film from his saddlebag. They kept tracking Patty, as they call her, for either 1 mile or 3 miles, but lost it in the heavy undergrowth.
Hey, real quick, so it's named Patty after the Patterson-Gimlin footage. I always assumed that was, like, a name that, like, subsequent people who have seen this footage named her, because she does have, like, you have to kind of squint, but, like, there's definitely titties in the shot.
Yeah, there are, what's the word I'm looking for? But there's big bazongapes on display. At the Museum of Cryptozoology.
I love rubbing your nose in it.
In the International Museum of Cryptozoology in Maine.
Yeah, where you have been.
We watched the like this footage. What's it like? Kind of steady canned, like the steady cam version of this. They had a little box that showed it like that, and Alex was like amazed to see the titties bounce. She was very tickled by that. She's like, "Oh, you can see Bigfoot's titties."
That's a thing that people don't. Will Ferrell didn't do that for Elf.
No, he did not.
I think he ought to have.
Oh well.
So the entire encounter lasted less than 2 minutes, which, like, I don't know. The entire encounter had lasted less than 2 minutes. I don't know. I want to make a sex joke there, and I can't. I'm just not. It's not coming to me.
It's okay. It's fine. We're no Bobby Morgs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they went back. They they measured the creature's step length and made 2 plaster cats of its feet. Its feet. Now this is the part of the story that, like, the reason why this footage has lasted so long and why this evidence is there is because the strides this creature had are, like, unnatural. They're not human strides, according to lore and legend.
And, like, there'd be no way they could lie about that.
No, yeah, them measuring the distance between these tracks can certainly be very is a bulletproof defense. So there's the whole section here about the aftermath and the long-term aftermath. Do you want to get to, like, the kind of who's come forward since this?
Well, I mean, I think this little details section is interesting. So, um, Patterson, in particular, increased his estimates of the creature's size in subsequent retellings of the encounter. In a different context, Long argues these discrepancies would probably be considered minor, but given the extraordinary claims made by Patterson-Gimlin, any apparent disagreements in perception or memory are worth noting.
That's someone with again, a Wikipedia editor with way too much time and way too very, very critical of this story.
Yeah. The film's defenders have responded, and this is a point I wanted to concern myself with. The film's defenders have responded by saying that commercially motivated hoaxsters would have gotten their stories straight beforehand, so they would not have disagreed immediately upon being interviewed and on so many points, and so they wouldn't have created a suit and a creature with foreseeably objectionable features and behaviors. Like, is it brilliant if you're making a fake Bigfoot suit? Like, let's put titties on it, because no one will think we made that up. Does that check out?
I think so. I think it's a stroke of genius, if that is what went down.
Like, who would think? Who would have thought of that? I would have. Me! Anyway.
Yeah.
It's funnier when you do it, when you rub my nose in it. Chris Murphy wrote, I've confirmed with Bob Gimlin that Patterson definitely rode a small quarter horse which he owned, not his Welsh pony Peanuts. Also, that Patterson had arranged to borrow a horse by the name of Chico from Bob Hieronymus for Gimlin to use. Gimlin did not have a horse that was suitable, parentheses, old enough for the expedition. Hieronymus stated that Chico, a middle-aged gelding, wouldn't jump or buck. Because that's how Bob Hieronymus talks. He's Sam the Eagle. Every character in this is played by Sam the Eagle.
River Krantz writes that Patterson had the film developed as soon as possible. At first he thought he had brought in proof of Bigfoot's existence and really expected the scientists to accept it. But only a few scientists were willing to even look at the film. Usually at showings at scientific organizations. So he had like trick people at like convention and said, like, hey man, I got a science thing to show you over here. And they bam, it's a Bigfoot footage.
Imagine just being a scientist and seeing that and going like, well, what do you think of that, science man?
Though there were little scientific interest in the film, Patterson was still able to capitalize on it. Here we go. He made a deal with the BBC, allowing the use of his footage in a docudrama, made in return for letting him tour with their docudrama, into which he melded material for his own documentary and added material that he added here. So, again, that kind of critical, this is what was for the money thing shows its face.
Yeah, the film generated a fair amount of national publicity. Patterson appeared on a few popular TV talk shows to promote the film and belief in Bigfoot by showing excerpts from it. On the Joe Pine Show in Los Angeles, Merv Griffith's program with Krantz offering his analysis on the film, Joey Bishop's talk show, and also on Johnny Carson's Tonight Show. The Bigfoot's got some pretty big titties. Maybe they should call him... Patterson subsequently sold overlapping distribution rights for the film to several parties, which resulted in costly legal entanglements.
So what I hear from this is that a Bigfoot fan who had recently written about it and he wants to be a filmmaker went off into the woods with his cowboy friend, and they came back with footage of a Bigfoot.
Shock of shocks.
Shock of shots.
Yeah, so... it's not a real Bigfoot.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, I think that. Well, listen, I want to yuck anyone's yums in the cryptozoology world, but it seems to be like all the pieces are here of a hoax of some kind. But the fun thing about this hoax is that there's no definitive answer to it. And that there's many different allegations and different people coming forward about it.
Wait, hang on. This is really funny. Daegling, which is like a dwarf name, Daegling Ironfoot wrote, Bigfoot advocates emphasize that Patterson remained an active Bigfoot hunter up until his death. For instance, in 1969, he hired a pair of brothers to travel around in a truck, chasing down leads to Bigfoot witnesses and interviewing them. Like, oh, what's up, backwoods supernatural?
Oh man, we missed out on like the greatest like History Channel show.
Oh my gosh, like two brothers in a truck chasing down leads to Bigfoot witnesses. Also, how do I get this job?
Yeah, it's like a American Bigfooters. That's the life.
The Property Brothers, but it's like the Squatcherty Brothers.
That's good too.
My Squatcher, and me.
That is the ideal job, wouldn't it be?
Krantz reports that a few years after the film was made, Patterson received a letter from a U.S. airman stationed in Thailand, who assured him that a Sasquatch was being held in a Buddhist monastery. Patterson spent most of his remaining money preparing an expedition to retrieve this creature. I'm starting to think that this is maybe the point where I started realizing that this article was nuts, only to learn it was a hoax. He learned this.
Oh no!
He learned this only after having sent Dennis Jensen. Hi, my name's Dennis Jensen, and I fruitlessly went to Thailand.
I really was really hoping that he didn't learn it was a hoax and he died before he could go. I was really hoping that like he uncovered like this FBI secret that there's actually a real Sasquatch there, and on his way there he was killed for knowing too much.
This Sasquatch was being held in a Buddhist monastery, and all that was left, his hand. Dun dun dun.
Listen to our Jimmy Stewart Yeti hand episode.
Yeah, we got too many of those. I watched the roast of Jimmy Stewart recently.
Oh yeah?
No one got him for the Yeti thing.
What?
Not at all. No, it was
not common knowledge back then?
I guess not, but also like it was a bummer of a panel.
Oh man, what did people do? Did they like make fun of his voice?
No, they just made fun of what a nice man he was.
Oh man, that's not a good roast.
No. Barry Goldwater was there for some fucking reason.
Barry Goldwater. We're really making you can really have a fun like indie character cast out of this episode.
You really can.
Okay. Are you ready to go with me to the hoax allegations?
Yes. Yeah.
The first hoax accusee is Patterson and or Gimlin themselves.
Yes. So they both denied that they had perpetuated a hoax.
Mm-hmm. But in a 1999 telephone interview with the television producer Chris Packham for the BBC's The X Creatures, which is now
I think it's time for a reboot of that. It's just like, let's see what's going on Twitter.
Yeah, right. Gimlin said that for some time, quote, I was totally convinced no one could fool me. And of course, I'm an older man now, and I think there could have been some possibility of a hoax. But it would have to be really well planned by Roger.
How well planned would it have to have been to fool this guy? Like, now listen, I have keen powers of observation as some fucking guy with a hat.
If it was a hoax, do you think he would make his cowboy movie about something else?
Right? Like,
it's kind of like the perfect alibi. He's like, listen, we're gonna be filming. He'd be saying like, all right, we're gonna be filming a cowboy movie. Oh no, a Bigfoot. Versus, hey, let's go film a Bigfoot movie. Oh no, a Bigfoot.
It is almost like too stupid to be like, no one could be that stupid in making a hoax, and therein lies, like you said, the stroke of genius.
The stroke of genius, the Bigfoot footage, and the titties. Those are the biggest like factors here.
Yeah. So, one possible motive for the Ackerman fakery would have been to make Bigfoot seem real to local millionaire Floyd Paxton.
Local millionaire. He runs the mines.
I'm Floyd Paxton. You're gonna need to buy some Mongo burgers to go into these mines.
Yeah. So,
the film proponents...
I love that. It makes it sound like a Scooby-Doo plot now.
it really, like, the difference between this and a Scooby-Doo plot from the 60s is that it takes place 2 years earlier, and that's about it.
And there's no dog.
Hold on, I'm just gonna control F for dog real quick. He requested Hodgson to call Donald Abbott, who Grover Krantz described as the only scientist of any stature to have demonstrated some serious interest in the Bigfoot subject, hoping that he would help them search for the creature by bringing a meddling tracking dog.
Oh, nice.
Dog confirmed.
Daniel Perez, writing in 1992, asserted, if the film is in fact a fake, the costume man or machine, surely science could duplicate the film with ease. 25 years later, no one has come close. He later asserted, it has never been convincingly replicated. To any thinking person, that should speak volumes.
Yes, it is me, a thinking person.
Greg Long's response was, quote, the film they have just isn't going to do it. I'm sorry, that's not evidence.
Absolutely shut down. The film's
I love it because everyone's like, for years people have been doing like but what about this? Like, you can't, if God can make a mountain big enough that he could lift it, and then people are like, that's not science. I'm sorry, that's not what we're looking for here.
The film's proponent's position is that what is seen in the film is unfakeable, especially for a costume beginner like Patterson. Patterson's not good enough at his big titty Bigfoot cosplay.
Oh, here's a theory for you.
Mm-hmm.
The furry theory.
Oh.
Well, it's like, of course, an ape costume of that era is not, your average ape costume is not advanced enough to look this good. But, as you know, pornography pushes the envelope first. Is the head honcho, the flagship in technology and technological advancements.
My jaw is slowly falling open. Like,
so of course the furry costume of the sexy ape lady is far advanced than any other ape costume of that era.
And like, are you coming up with this theory now? Because that is amazing.
Yeah, it's off the dome. Well, it's like when we watched Gator Face, and we're like, "What, man? This Gator costume looks really good." And we had our suspicions, but I think that's what I'm kind of thinking here, right? Isn't this like, if it's like, there's no way he could have had an ape costume of that quality?
I mean,
well, maybe in the closets.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a bit older than the furry fandom, but monster fuckers are eternal. Like, there were Greeks, there were ancient Greeks going like, yeah, say more about Medusa. So
yeah, perhaps this costume is Patterson's like David. In a way, it's like, this is my I've spent all my life and love and put it into this muse before me.
Sing my angel of Sasquatch.
Yeah, right.
So speaking of David Daegling Ironfoot, anthropologist of the Iron Mountains, writes that the more cynical skeptics see Patterson's luck as a little more than a little suspicious. He sets out to make a Bigfoot documentary, then almost literally stumbles across a Bigfoot. Okay, thank God someone's pointing this out.
Yeah.
Daegling Goldbeard, however, offers the benefit of the doubt, noting that Patterson's reasoning is sound. In seeking something elusive, he went to where it had been reported. Bluff Creek had also been the site of a well-known Bigfoot hoaxer Ray Wallace's activities in 1958. In Patterson's book, he mentions meeting with Wallace once. Later...
Did he mention when that was, if it was in 1967?
Later, Daegling Axsilver cites... How do dwarves work? Cites certain features in the film and the storyline as suspicious.
Yeah. I like the idea that, like, it's like, okay, no, he really saw someone there. He saw this other guy, this Bigfoot hoaxer, who was just casually going for a stroll in his outfits.
His big titty Bigfoot suit.
Alright, so Peter Brine, who interviewed Patterson-Gimlin many times, wrote, both men lacked primarily the intellectual capacity essential to produce to the production of a hoax termed a masterpiece. Similarly, Daegling Iron Fist writes that most acquaintances of Patterson volunteer that neither he nor Gimlin were clever enough to put something that detailed together.
Every dog has his day.
Yeah, I love that. It's like, listen, these two couldn't do it. They're too fucking dumb.
That's a front.
I love that people...
That's a front, for sure.
There's a documentary about you, and it's just like, listen, there's no way Alec could have pulled it off. She's too much of a fucking dumb shit. Would it ever happened?
That would never happen to me, because I am smart enough to make a Bigfoot titty costume. So, Kranz thought Patterson may have perpetuated such a hoax given the opportunity and resources. Roger was an accomplished 2D artist whose drawing and painting of horses and other wildlife showed a detailed understanding of musculature and anatomy. Oh. Okay, so he just has a special interest in making detailed musculature and anatomy for a big titty Bigfoot suit.
Those are points to the accomplished 2D artist points. If there's DeviantArt back in the day, he'd have an account. And
probably the lack of intellectual capacity. They're probably judging a fish by how well it can climb a tree, right? It's judging somebody in Northern California by how well can you run the family farm, or whatever the fuck they were doing back in old-timey times California.
Yeah, right.
I think he just has a special interest in this, and what do we know about furries? There's a correlation between furries and autistic people, yes?
I wouldn't say that for all of them.
I don't want to diagnose people from the past, but maybe there's a similarity here, is all I'm saying. I think that
maybe the best word to use here is hyperfixation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. That, clearly from this, a person that's hyperfixated on animals to a detailed degree.
Yeah. I think that, I think that saying, they're way too stupid, Your Honor, that's not an excuse. That's nothing.
Yeah, that's how, you get Harold and Kumar out of jail. This is nuts. It doesn't really work here.
So...
we should talk about these other accusees.
Yes, yeah. So
in 2002, Philip Morris, owner of Morris Costumes, a North Carolina-based company offering costumes, claimed that he made a gorilla costume that was used in the Patterson film. Morris says he discussed his role in the hoax at costume conventions, lectures, and magicians conventions.
Magician conventions, as one does.
Yeah.
So, okay. Morris said that he sold an ape suit to Patterson via mail order in 1967. First off, it is really confusing having read about Northern California and then all of a sudden actual North Carolina comes into play. Are you feeling that?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also like the mail order. Yes, the Pony Express saddled up and brought a big old ape costume to him.
Okay, so this is... Okay, wait. Okay, this is wild.
Wait,
so,
yeah, hang on.
Yeah, Morris said that he sold an ape suit to Patterson via mail order in 1967, thinking that it was going to be used in what Patterson described as a prank. Ordinarily, the gorilla suits he sold were used for a popular sideshow routine that depicted an attractive woman, supposedly from some far-flung corner of the globe, being altered by a sorcerer or scientist into a gorilla or otherwise ape-like monster. What the fuck and hell is going on?
We've found the furry. It was Philip Morris all along.
This is transformation pornography. Yes, hang on. Wait, I'm familiar with this.
Mm-hmm.
This is turn into a Bigfoot hypnosis. ASMR.
Yeah.
Hang on, let me just double check YouTube really quick, because I'm pretty sure Bigfoot transformation ASMR is a real video that I could watch with my human eyes.
Yeah,
and heart.
Phil Morris didn't have the emergency back to human video on hand.
Yeah,
or maybe that's how the circus performance ended.
Look, hey, I went through a period where there was a lot of transformation videos,
Mm-hmm.
And, actually, hang on. So, yes, there are multiple videos about hypnotizing oneself into turning into Bigfoot.
I bet there's I bet there's like a really like sneaky aspect to that. Like, shh, be quiet. Don't be seen today.
This one's past life as big foot-like creature. Past life regression.
Okay, we got a whole special in the future about those videos.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So Morse said this about the... wait, go ahead.
Yeah, so this is some weird kink thing. After the initial sale, Morris said that Patterson telephoned him, asking how to make the shoulders more massive and make the arms longer. Morris said he suggested that whoever wore the suit should wear football shoulder pads and hold sticks in his hands within the suit. That's not very,
I like his, like, carny, like, just, slap a couple sticks in there and it'll work out just fine.
Yeah. As for the creature's walk, Morris said the Bigfoot researchers say no human can walk that way in the film.
Oh, yes, they can.
When you're wearing long clown's feet, you can't place the ball of your foot down first. You have to put your foot down flat, otherwise you'll stumble. Another thing, when you put on the gorilla head, you can only turn your... blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, so he like, breaks down anatomically what's going on here.
Morris offered no evidence apart from his own testimony to support his account, the most conspicuous shortcoming being the absence of a gorilla suit or documentation that would match the detail evidenced in the film and could have been produced in 1967. A recreation of the PGF, which of course stands for Pacific Girlfriend, was undertaken on October 6, 2004 at Cow Camp near Rimrock Lake. Coming at you live from Cow Camp near Rimrock Lake, a location 41 miles or 66 kilometers west of Yakima. Thank God, because I don't know how much 41 miles is, but I got kilometers down pat. This was 6 months after the publication of Long's book and 11 months after Long and first contacted Morris. Long and Morris and... oh gosh, this is turning into a tangled web of red string.
Yeah, it's a lot of, like... to me, so I don't know how viable Morris is as a source here, but it sounds like a bit of a scam on a scam.
This is...
Yeah, Morse is trying to get in on this action.
I think absolutely you're right. This seems like a lie that would be very easy to... especially because he only started talking in 2002. Like, my heart is too blackened by the lies of my youth.
Yeah, this has bothered me for 40 years.
And now I just realized I can make money off it. I mean, I'm sorry.
Yeah, this is the classic, character in the sitcom finds out that something's a lie and is now squeezing the other person to get goods out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Blackmail. It's the blackmail plots is what I'm saying.
Yeah. So next hoax, which we're a ways into this, but I do think I'm going to cut out a lot.
Okay. I think there's two more hoaxers here that we should discuss, and I think we're good. So the second hoax allegation person besides Patterson and/or Gimlin is Bob Hieronymus, who claims... Oh, God. Not him.
Bob Hieronymus claims to have been the figure depicted in the Patterson film. So this is the first one who is like, it was me. I was in the suit.
Yep, they're my titties out there.
Those are my gorilla titties. There are many like them, but those two are mine. Right. So, Hieronymus says he had not previously publicly discussed the role in the hoax because he hoped to be paid eventually and was afraid of being convicted of fraud had he confessed. After speaking with his lawyer, he was told that since he had not been paid for his involvement in the hoax, he could not be held accountable. That is, I think, not true, and also, I don't think it's fraud. I don't think that counts as fraud. I don't think that's what fraud means.
Allie, I'll be honest, this sounds like something you might worry about one day. It's like, oh God, if someone finds out, I'll be liable for fraud. Quick, get me a lawyer. Tell me.
That is... I've asked you enough questions about tax evasion and what counts as that and what does not. That is incredibly true. I think I'm good.
I think you're good.
Thank God. Okay. So
A month after watching the December 28th, 1998 Fox television special, World's Greatest Hoaxes, Secrets Finally Revealed, he went public via January 30th press release by his lawyer, Barry Woodard.
In a Yakima newspaper story.
He stated, I'm telling the truth.
I'm tired after... Give it.
I'm tired after 37 years.
I'm tired after 37, like some real old man McGucket.
Yeah, yeah.
5 days later, a second newspaper story reported that his lawyer's office had been inundated with calls from media outlets. We're just sort of waiting for the dust to settle, he said, explaining he and his client are evaluating offers. He also said, we anticipate that we will be telling the full story to somebody rather quickly, so stay tuned to give us money.
This sounds like, again, another fucking Ed scheme from the lawyer's office.
Yeah.
They're like, we got a guy here that's convinced that he was Bigfoot in this thing. Whether he was or he wasn't, doesn't matter. Cha-ching, cha-ching.
Yeah. Hieronymus' name was first publicly revealed in the credits to Sesame Street, and his allegations first publicly detailed 5 years later in Greg Long's book, The Making of Bigfoot, which includes testimony that corroborates Hieronymus' claims. Hieronymus' relatives, his mother Opal, and his nephew, John Miller, the most boringly named nephew in all of nephew-dom, claims to have seen an ape suit in Hieronymus' car. Opal said she saw the suit 2 days after the film was shot. Neither of them mentioned the titties, though. I feel like that's the first question you ask.
You gotta stop saying this guy's name. My furniture keeps floating.
So, Russ Bohannon, a longtime friend.
My furniture is turning into plants.
None of these are real names. Russ Bohannon, a longtime friend, which is the name you have to say to make Adam's furniture stop floating, says that Hieronymus revealed the hoax privately in 1968 or 1969. Oh, good. Now it's genuine.
Is there someone we can get here in this story that has more authority?
Bernard Hammermeister. Okay, so I was joking about the dwarf names before.
What's it was a Darling Hammermeister?
Darling Hammermeister of the Woodland Realm. Another longtime friend said he was shown an ape suit in Hieronymus' car. Like, imagine just like Bob Hieronymus opening his car. What do you think about that? Like, new date was given by
popping the trunk open, showing people.
You just got a Quentin Tarantino shot of the suit from inside. Quentin Tarantino should make a Bigfoot movie.
Oh no, he's already stressing too much about whatever his next movie is.
Already stressing too much about feet too. Honestly, like that's the holy grail for Quentin Tarantino, right?
Yeah, if his last movie is a Bigfoot movie, no one's gonna be surprised.
Yeah. No date was given by Long for Hammermeister's observation, but it apparently came well after the relative's observation, as implied by the word still in the justification Hieronymus gave Hammermeister for requesting his silence. There was still supposed to be a payola on this thing, and he didn't have it. Oh, the word payola.
I love that, like, I've been quiet for 30 years because just waiting to get paid. like Patterson and Gimlin, like, aren't like the sharpest like tools themselves, according to these interviews. So it's like this other guy, they found a guy even dumber who's like, all right, he won't ask to get paid for another 30, 40 years. We got him good.
Like, imagine waiting to get paid for 37 years.
Like, how often was he checking in with them? Was it like every month? He was like knocking on their doors, like, "Hey, you got that? You got any of them film rewards yet for my job as the big boy, big girl?"
Not yet. No, give it time.
All right, I'll be back next month.
I'll be back next
30
month.
years.
So,
Patterson died 5 years later, and he's like, I wonder who I should ask to collect my check from.
Okay, so this is also this is also some arc welding here. Long argues that the suit Morris said he sold to Patterson was the same suit Hieronymus claims to have worn in the Patterson film. However, Long quotes Hieronymus and Morris describing different ape suits in many respects. Among the notable differences are suit material, horsehide versus dino. Hieronymus said he was told by his brother Howard, "There's too many fucking people in this story."
Yeah, well, basically the suit material's difference. Another one is the build of the suit's different. One describes as a top and trousers, and the other one has a back-zipped onesie.
Bob added, "It stunk. Roger skinned out a dead red horse." Which is a little-known prequel to Red Dead Redemption, is Dead Red Horse.
And apparently Hieronymus' story is not all together here.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, in an interview he says that he stepped into it and zipped up the back, which contradicts Morris's story.
But Morris made a one-piece union suit with a metal zipper up the back. Presumably one stepped into it first, then wiggled in one's arms. In any event, donning it like a t-shirt would be impossible. Hands and feet, suit attached versus separate. Hieronymus described
gloves and stuff like that. So yeah,
the stories don't add up.
At first glance, it looks like this could be happening at the same time. But oh shit, they brought a polygraph into this.
Oh yeah. Polygraph tests regarding their claims have been passed by both Hieronymus and Patterson.
Huh.
There's also been said that Hieronymus was not as bulky as the creature, but films.
I like the idea of Patterson ordered this ape costume from Morris, right?
Yeah.
And it arrived, and Phil and Patterson said, "I love him, but it's not sexy enough." And then went on to craft like his his muse. from that image,
just Robert Pattinson, and
that's why the suits are different now.
Just like a castle with lightning going on in the background in Yakima.
I also like the concept that the ape is called Patty because it's like a Frankenstein story.
Oh my god, it's Patterson's persona though.
Oh yeah, yeah, it is.
Okay, Bob, we made some changes to the gorilla suit. I think you're gonna like it.
There's one other hoax, alleged, which is called Ray Wallace. It's a humanist. What's it called? Posthumous.
Yeah.
It's a posthumous claim because after his death in 2002, following requests by Lauren Coleman, to the Seattle Times,
friend of the show,
the show.
We had a conversation on Twitter one time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, Lauren Coleman's like, we talked about the Dover Demon a bit. It was fun.
Oh, neat. Well, I finally found, I'm just baffled that we're connected to all this.
Yeah, right. Oh man, we might be, did we do the hoax?
Our Patterson-Gimlin film Wikipedia article number is like 2.
It really is, yeah. No, it's 1.
It's 1 if we're on it, yeah.
Yeah. So, the family of Wallace went public with claims that he had started the Bigfoot phenomenon with fake footprints made from a wooden foot-shaped cutout left in California sites in 1958.
Oh, so even predating, like the Patterson thing, like he's basically going back to the sources. Like, yep, I planted the tree that the knowledge of good and evil.
So, what if Cain was a Bigfoot, or Abel was, because he has the fruit? No. Abel has the
two main dots.
Yeah. Mark Travinsky, editor of Strange Magazine, not to be confused with True Magazine, promoted Wallace's claim that he tipped off Patterson exactly where to look for a Bigfoot. I got your Bigfoot right here. Travinsky wrote Robert Pattinson came over the Patterson-Gimlin footage. This footage of Robert Pattinson on a normal day. So Edward from Twilight came over dozens of times, pumping me on this Bigfoot. I've not heard that expression before. I'm forced to conclude.
I have, not in this circle, though. Not in this context.
Ray Wallace explained to researcher Dennis Pickles, Jesus, the fuck Christ, in 1982, I felt sorry for Robert Pattinson. He told me
he had Roger in this one.
Yeah. I felt sorry for Roger Pattinson. Roger Patterson. I felt sorry for Salt and Pepper. He told me he had cancer of the lymph glands and he was desperately broke and he wanted to try to get something where he could have a little income. Well, he went down exactly where I told him. I told him, you go down there and you hang on the bank. Stay up there and watch that spot. David Daegling Silvermead summarized Travinsky's argument and concluded that Wallace had a degree of involvement with the Patterson-Gimlin film and that this gave grounds for suspicion of it. Lauren Coleman has written that Patterson was an early Bigfoot investigator and that it was only natural that he sought out and interviewed older Bigfoot event principals, which included Wallace. Because of the 1958 Bluff Creek track incidents, Coleman had asserted that Wallace had nothing to do with Patterson's footage in 1967 and has argued in an analysis of the media treatment of the death of Wallace that the international media inappropriately confused the Wallace films from the 1970s with the Patterson-Gimlin 1967 film. Jeffrey Meldrum, has written extensively about Wallace's allegations continued by the family after his death and the significant problems with them in his book Sasquatch Legend Meets Science. So,
we did it.
Made it.
We're done.
We're done.
We're free. Killer article. This is a great Wikipedia page. It's dense. It's got phenomenal names. It's got wild and crazy stories. It's got like a snarky editor.
Bernard Heuvelmans, a zoologist and the so-called father of cryptozoology, thought the creature in the Patterson film was a suited human. He objected to the film's subject hair flow pattern as being too uniform, to the hair on the breast as not being like a primate. Like, check? Yep. To its buttocks as being insufficiently separated, and to its too calm retreat from the pursuing men.
Well, there you have it.
That's a fake butt. I'm Bernard Heuvelmans, and that is a fake butt.
As an expert in primates physiology.
So,
right.
what do you think happened here?
I think I wrote a pretty good theory about halfway through this episode.
Yeah.
I think that this is it was a fetish involved at some point to acquire this costume.
You know what? I don't think that's wrong.
Yeah, and I think it's a quality costume of that caliber that's baffled so many people for so many years. It's an oddity, and I think a lot of people are connected to the story, but not as many as how. I think it's a little more. One would love to hope that they actually saw a Bigfoot out there, but I think the cards are stacked against them, and the fact that no one since has seen quite this creature. Well, that's not true. There's been many a sighting and stuff like that, but I don't think we've ever weighed in on Bigfoot on this program exactly. I think we're both definitely we're skeptic to the degree of, like, comfortable rounding to a 0% chance.
Yeah.
If speaking for myself,
I'm gonna be honest. A lot of these people in the analysis section mentioned the insufficiently separated buttocks. That's not enough of an ass. I'm telling you, it's not enough of an ass. That's a fake ass.
Too much party in the front, not enough party in the back.
Oh, hey, I've read the first female name on this whole article.
Oh, who's that?
Let me just double quick check. Jessica Rose and James Gamble, authors of the definitive text on human gait, Human Walking. What a book. I mean, I guess somebody had to write that book, right?
Mm-hmm.
People walk all the time. There can't not be a book about it. They operate the motion gait analysis lab. They conducted a high-tech human replication attempt of Patty's gait in cooperation with Jeff Meldrum. Rose was certain their subject had matched Patty's gait, while Gamble was not quite as sure. Meldrum was impressed and acknowledged that some aspects of the creature's walk had been replicated, but not all. The narrator said even the best experts can see the gait test could not replicate all parameters of the gait. Okay, so there you go. Jessica Rose, walking expert, was like, yeah, basically we got it. Yep.
Okay. And that is the Patterson-Gimlin film.
Yes.
Let's take this picture and its many claimers to the final rating place.
Well, I think Gordon Valiant...
Alan, we have to stop.
Cliff Crook. There's a guy in this story named Cliff Crook that we just know it in the fucking Carmen Sandiego. James Gamble. I blew right over that one too.
Yeah, no, this is clearly a Where the World is Carmen Sandiego. Her adventures in North Carolina, USA, America. All right. What do you rate the Bigfoot as seen by Patterson and Gimlin?
The Bigfoot as seen by Patterson-Gimlin. I think that, assuming this is a real Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Like the character depicted in the film. I feel like it was really nice of her to not, be so blurry for once.
Yeah. I think they got her good side. That's why she, didn't mind.
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah. I like that she only has, one, look that she has. Every now and then you see, a film and there's, an extra that has, one, look. They're like, oh, damn, that's great. And I'm glad she got that in.
Yeah, I like. It's a Bigfoot that isn't afraid to show up on camera for once, and that's nice.
Yeah, it's a real what do you call it? It's a real reversal.
Yeah, I'll have to give her 10 out of 10 for that. That's we like to see that. We love seeing that. As a
Uh,
hoax, I gotta give this a 6 out of 10.
for is that just for longevity?
It's for longevity. It's for the stroke of genius of like no one would expect us to put titties on it.
Yeah, honestly, I'm giving a lot more points for hoax, like 8 out of 10.
Really?
It's one of the better known like hoaxes in the it's so well known that like they still haven't like exactly cracked it.
I mean, we exactly cracked it.
I mean, until we came along.
Yeah. Roger Patterson.
Our names will be immortalized in this Wikipedia article.
They will.
One day.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I want to applaud us for our first true crime outing that we did what the shows are never capable of doing and actually solve the crime.
That's true. Well, I mean, it's not our first true crime outing. We've also done Yeti Hand. Mostly it's Bigfoot crimes, what we do.
We're true Bigfoot crimes is what we're capable of. I'm giving Patty a 7 out of 10 because I want there to be more lore.
You know what? Yeah.
Like, there's like hints that she might have a partner about. Her exact dimensions aren't known. What she's doing there isn't known. It's just too many question marks. I'd like to, you want some question marks so you can fill in your own story.
Does she have a mate?
I don't know. I want to. I want like I want the documentary from her side. I want to hear what the big bad wolf was up to.
That's interesting. I would
he
love.
Was having such a bad day.
I'm into some xenofiction. I'm into some like Animorph style, like writing from the perspective of a non-human. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'll put pen to paper.
It's one of those where it's like, yeah, they make the joke that's like, oh, haha, Loki is DB Cooper. I was like, I want to hear this. Tell me this story though.
Yeah, which I mean, same place.
Same place. DB Cooper was actually Patty.
We don't know that that's wrong.
That's why they drew him looking so weird. they didn't want to admit that they were looking at an ape with titties.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that brings our second annual April to a close.
I had a rockin' sockin' jungle swinging time.
This was a pretty wild April, actually.
Yeah, I think so. So, if you want to keep the wild party going, join us on Discord.
Yeah, we're also on Bluesky, and we are in your hearts.
All right, I'm gonna go walk away right now. Don't film me, okay?
I am. Contrary
you're filming me. I'm looking back at you.
Contrary to your wishes, I am filming you.
How are my titties?